Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Skyrise, which is the newest game by Roxley Games and designers Adam, Gavin, and Sebastian. So, this is going to be a relatively interesting discussion, mainly because there's a couple ideas that I have floating around on this game. First and foremost, let me get this out of the way. I do not like this game pretty much at all. This is, and whenever I have a lot of games like this normally, and I've had time to sit on it, so normally if I was actually doing what I used to do, which was a run through and then a discussion immediately after, I would have, like, emotions would have been super high, and usually those types of negative reviews get a lot of backlash. There's been time where I can actually sit down and digest it and, calm down if the game was, really annoying. But I actively do not like almost anything about this game. And the problem that I have with it is, one, there's quite a few things. So let me get the positives out of the way. The game is beautifully produced. The deluxe components are amazing. There's not metal coins. There's like one metal coin, one metal key, which, nicely weighted. The components are fantastic. The buildings, which I have, like these deluxe Sundrop buildings, look amazing. That is pretty much all I have, honestly, as a positive. And the reason why I said this was going to be interesting is because it begs the question on, should games, is that what gets a lot of people riled up about a game in a positive way? Because right now, every new game that comes out seems to have an 8 or above on Board Game Geek. Which I don't take that much stock in Board Game Geek ratings, but a lot of people do. So if you see this sitting right now in an 8.2, it's like, oh, that must be a really good game. But that's every single game. Every single game that seems to come out now is an 8 or higher. And it makes me think, okay, is that people having, buyer's remorse? Are they in denial that a game that they paid a lot of money for is not actually as good as it should have been? But that is an entirely different topic, because I know people are going to apparently completely disagree with me on this. Now, what Skyrise says, what it is it's an auction game, because the rule book, which is very thin, like they have 2 pages in the back, are based on history of the characters you can be. The characters it doesn't matter what the 4 characters are, because the only thing that changes about them are the values of their buildings for auctioning. But in terms of victory points, they don't have special powers, they don't have any of that. They are literally just, here are my arbitrary auction values for my buildings. So that's the 2 pages. Then this rulebook does another thing that I actually really, really dislike, and I never knew quite what it was called until I listened to Paul Grogan talk about why rule books are bad. And what this game does is it front loads you with a lot of info. Basically, the concepts of the game, which I have always hated how it does, because it's like, here's a bunch of info that you have no idea how to apply it. And I get it in theory, because you read all that, and then when you actually read the rules, you should be able to revert back to what you just read. But to me, it's never worked. Because it's like, well, I'm reading all this, but I'm not getting it. So whenever I read it, it's like you feel like you have to flip back and forth. But the actual rules are 2 pages. It's auction. The game is 2 eras. It also says the game is 30 to 75 minutes, which is a weird kind of range. But there's 2 eras. And in the first era, you have a certain number of buildings. Each building has a value on the bottom, and that is your auction bid. Now, whenever you say auction, when I'm thinking auction, I am thinking a lot about reading the players, bluffing the players, seeing if you can okay, like whenever you're bidding for stuff in a game, it's like, okay, I'm gonna bid. Like a lot of times where you hide it in your hand and you put it out, it's just like a lot of times you're thinking of what the player that you're bidding against can do. It's like, okay, and even if it's a round table bid, there's a lot of, do I make them go higher? Oh shit, okay, like, yeah, they bid 10. Do I bid 15 and make them bid higher? But man, if they don't bid higher, then I'm gonna lose out on. I can't pay 15, but I don't really want to. But man, if I can make them pay 17 or 20, ooh, that'd be really good. You know, I'm gonna risk it. There's a lot of that. This game has none of that. Everything is relatively open information because your values are flat. They are a flat number. Because whenever you bid, the very first time I played this game, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because you're bidding for these various locations. You're bidding. There's these random tokens that are on there that correspond to the different colored areas of the board, as well as there are these 4, whatever they're called, patrons. I think they're called patrons. Yeah, there's 4 patrons that have random victory points for them. But there's tokens scattered throughout the board. So you're bidding for the type of area, you're bidding for some locations because there's these open objectives you're going for. But when you bid, you have your numbers of your buildings secretly towards you. But the problem is you can see what your opponents have off of your player board for both eras. So it's not like you're trying to get them to bid higher. If I put this 24 down, because when you bid, you place one face up in the area that you're bidding. As long as it's the center tile or adjacent to a bid or a building that's already been built, if you're starting the bid. So I put down 24. My opponents, who can see that whenever you bid, you have to place the next building. You're not bidding for the spot that was there. So if I'm putting it a 24 in a green spot, let's say I really wanted that, my options are either put the highest number there and hope that someone else doesn't have a higher number available. But whenever you're bidding for it, you're actually not bidding for the spot that's there. You make a trail of buildings. So then the yellow player has a 74. They're not taking 74 from that spot. They have to put it adjacent to that. So then they have to go in like this white area. And then green could take their tall building, and that's 90, and then that's 93, so that's higher than 74. And then you go around the table. Blue has 103. So you have to make this adjacency thing, which the first time I heard that rule, I was like, oh, that's different. But then you play the game, and you realize that you have virtually no control over going for public objectives. You have no control over your private objectives, because let's say you really wanted a green spot, or you really needed a green spot because of your private objective. Well, if someone outbids you, you are immediately out of the running for trying to do that. And then let's say it comes back to you. The last one is 103, and you have a number that's 110. And you're like, well, okay, cool. I can actually outbid for that spot. Oh, wait a minute. There's not a green location next to that. So my original plan of trying to get a green spot, I can no longer do. And because you have to place them adjacent in a trail, you can't... It's like, okay, well, now in this case, my options are yellow and white. There's tokens on there. I don't want those tokens. But I guess if I want to build a building, then I guess that's the only thing I do. And then you place 110, everyone else passes, and you win that spot. The building gets built, and then everyone gets their buildings back. I despise that. Because again, there's no bluffing, there's no reading, there's no control over anything that you're able to get. Unless there are no longer any adjacent spots, because an auction ends whenever everyone passes, or there are no more adjacent spots for people to continue placing buildings, or someone places a wonder. Everyone has one wonder building that immediately wins a bid. But I absolutely hated that. That was just so frustrating, because the only time that you ever have control over what you actually want in this game is whenever you start the bid. And because you start the bid, you can place a building in any spot that there is no continuous adjacent spots, so you automatically win the bid. And the problem is the person who wins the bid gets to start the next auction. And it's a rich get richer. It's like, lucky me. Oh, it's my turn. I won that last bid. Well, I have my small building of value, whatever, 2. Let's say you're an heir, or value 14. It doesn't really even matter, like, what everyone else has, because, oh, man, there's a building right there in that yellow spot, and there's a building in this red spot. Well, look at that. I can start in this green spot. Oh, no one else can place there? I guess I automatically get it. I have never played an auction game, and it's been very rare that I have played a game where a majority of players do not get to play. And that has happened many, many times. And even if you are doing that, yeah, you're putting all your buildings and all your eggs in one basket. But the fact that you're vying for control over these tokens as well, that increase the value of your buildings, that give you random victory points, that allow you to be the first one to get your buildings out, while everyone else just has to sit there. Mind you, this isn't a player elimination game. You just have to sit there and watch them do that. In an auction game, that would be like going to an art auction and you have a shit ton of money to be at an art auction and they just don't let you bid. It's like, yeah, I'd like to bid $1 million on that piece. Oh man, I have $1 billion in my bank account, so yeah, I'd like to bid $2 million. No. Nope. He gets it. Why? I thought this was an auction. Yeah, it is, but he started, so therefore he wins. Well, I can outbid him. No. And yeah, maybe whatever. This kind of has like a Tapestry feeling where it's like everyone who plays Tapestry and likes it, they'll even say it's not a Civilization game. Then why is it the fucking tagline? Why does it say Tapestry, a Civilization game? Now, granted, luckily this doesn't say Skyrise, an auction game, but that's what it is. That's the 2 rules of the game, or 2 pages of rules, is how the auction works. But there's no like, man, yeah, I could really use that spot right there. Okay, I'm going to place this building down to vie for control of that. Oh, wait, no one else can outbid me? I guess I get it. And everyone else just has to sit here. I absolutely, hated that. And it's entirely possible, like, that you could just not win a bid. And what's also incredibly annoying that I've had is, because you're going for certain spots, everyone has a public or private objective, which is basically Sagradas have a certain number of colors. Like the last game I just played of this, it was I had to have buildings in green spots. Well, first of all of the private objectives are 10 points. So if everyone does it, whatever. So I don't like that. But it's like, okay, I'm just going to try and go for that because I know what I can go for. Well, so I'm going to start in this green spot because maybe I'll get it. Oh, wait, nope, someone else got it. Or wait, someone outbid me, so I can't even circle back to green. And if you try to read ahead of time, like let's say you put your building in like a red spot, hoping that people outbid you so you can do the higher bid in a green, trying to do some forward thinking, you have absolutely no control if that is the case. If you place a lower value building in a white area, hoping that the next player outbids you goes to yellow, and then it comes back around to you and you can get to a green spot, that is complete luck that even happens. You can't dictate what the players do. Because let's say that's where you're banking on, everyone could just pass. Then you have a building in white that you do, it's like, okay, cool, I just lost a building. I got nothing for that. It's just so bizarre of a design decision. So the fact that you can see exactly what people's values are. Now you have to retain what they say or like what they've placed on the board. But every time I've played this, it's like, okay, I'm going to place this building here. That should be the highest one. Okay, I auto win it. That's not even, if it's not even adjacent free spots. That's just like, okay, I know exactly that I have the highest value building here, so I auto win because no one else can outbid me. Like, that's mind-boggling of decision making. Going for the public objectives are also completely out of your control. Like some of them are, hey, have certain buildings adjacent to lakes, have a chain on each island. You're also going for control of these islands by having the tallest building there. It's like, okay, that's 5 points, and then some of the public ones are 3 points, and it's like, okay, they can hit multiple times, but it's like, okay, oh man, I just happen to have 3 buildings adjacent to that lake. Even when you're trying to go for it, it feels way more work than it's actually worth in terms of victory points. That you're really just going for the tokens that are just randomly placed on the map. The wonders aren't cool at all. Like, they're so random. Some are clearly better than others. Like, one was like, oh, hey, I got my private objective. That gives me 15 points, or 10 points, or whatever it is. And then it's like, oh man, this wonder that I get to place triggers, and it's like, hey, you basically fight for control of the islands again. Oh wait, you got 15 points at the end of era 1. You get your wonder now, you place it. Oh man, okay, that's another 15 points. Huh? I just get to collect an extra token. Cool. There's these patrons out on there. These patrons have these tokens that you place on them. They're face down. These are victory points that range from, there's a 3, a 4, a 5, and an 8. Those are the victory point values. They correspond to tokens of A, B, C, and D. You don't know what those values are, so you have no idea of where to start for some area control. You're like, okay, I might not get my private objective, but man, I'm going to get a lot of these tokens for the one that's worth 8. Oh wait, no one knows what patron is value 8 at the beginning of the game. Okay, well, everyone's getting these patron tokens, and once you collect one, then you can look at it. You can be like, oh, I got a D. Okay, let me look at the D1. Oh, cool, that's the 3.1. Okay, I guess I'm not going to go after those. And then you finally get like one A token, and you look at it, and it's the 8.1. You look around, and everyone else has collected A's. So you're like, cool, I got one. That person got 4 of them. Okay, well, that's clearly the most valued one. That ranges from 3, 4, 5, then 8 points. It's like you got 30 points over there, while I got max 15. Like, this game is just so weird. It's so weird. And the reason why I was like, okay, this discussion is going to be odd is because everything mechanically about this game I do not like. But it's also insanely overproduced, which is like Roxley's thing. Like, I remember with Santorini, but that Santorini was super solid as a 1v1 abstract game. And then you had Radlands, which is also overproduced, but also a really good card game. Then you have Dice Throne, which I know is super popular. I burned myself out on that game. I do not like Dice Throne at all, but... and then you have this one, which is also insanely overproduced. And it reminds me of like, okay, what games are overproduced that really shouldn't be, but you kind of okay it because the game is good? Well, Foundations of Rome is definitely one of them. In fact, they're making one that is not produced like that, but that's fine because the game itself is super solid. It's just a really nice, super deluxe copy. But yeah, it doesn't need to look like that, and hence why they're making one without it. In fact, that's based off of another game that's called Acquire. That is definitely not... definitely not bougie in any way. So this game, I just don't understand, like, how this game was made. Because I swear to God, if people tell me, oh, it's not really an auction game, then don't market it as one. Don't have literally the rules auction and then bidding. Because technically, yes, it is that. You can outbid. If you pass, you're out of the bidding race. But it's so static. It's so like, okay, I guess what you just placed as a value, I have one higher. I don't give a shit about anything that's adjacent to that, so I guess I pass. And actually, the reason that I bring that up so many times is because the last game I played, the person who kept winning the auction knew that none of us wanted any of the spots adjacent to him. So he just kept starting the bid in the exact same spot. And it's like, I don't want that. There's not a token that I want there that helps me in any way. It doesn't help me on any of the objectives. So I'm gonna pass. It's like, pass. Okay, pass. He wins. He gets to start the bid again. Same exact spot. Pass. Okay, yep. Okay, you keep winning. Yep, that's all in that island. You're gonna have all your buildings there. That's cool. And that would be fine if it was really literally just based off of the different colors, the 4 areas to control. But the fact that you also get a bunch of tokens that are victory points based off the patrons and where your buildings are, he just ran away with tokens. Because it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say we let him do that. However, it's like, okay, because for me outbidding him in a spot just to prevent a token is like, I don't share the mentality of my opponent not gaining points is the same as me gaining points. I just don't have that mentality, and it doesn't feel good. Even though it's like, okay, you didn't gain 10 points this round. That's the same as if I gained 10 points. No, it's not. Because if they're at 20 points and I'm at 10, that doesn't make me go up to 20. It's no, you're still 10 points ahead of me. And yeah, it was like there's nothing that we're getting out of this because, again, you're going to be the first one to finish out the eras, and therefore you're going to get another 10 points. So yeah, you ran out of buildings first. Cool. And what's also interesting is as the game goes on, people gradually dip out of the game because eventually once you run out of buildings, it's like, okay, well, no one else can, because the era 2 ends whenever everyone's out of buildings. Era 1 ends whenever one person is. Era 2 ends when everyone does. So whenever you are in era 2 and one person finishes, then it's like, okay, now it's like me and you. If it's a 3-player game, it's me and this one person bidding back and forth. Okay, well, you can't beat me on any of these, so I'll finish out mine. And in fact, there's nothing stopping the second player or third player from passing and just letting one person just place their buildings how they want to place them, and then the last person doing the exact same thing. I've never played an auction game where most players aren't playing. It and I thought I was gonna be like, you know what, I've had time to digest it, and I'm gonna be a lot more calm. But the more why am I talking like Trump? I apparently not, because the more I talk about this game, the more I really, really hate it. Oh man, do I not like this game at all? Yeah. So that's Skyrise. It's like, so yeah, it's like, okay, all right, redeeming qualities. It's like, if it's not an auction game, then what is it? Okay, it's an area control game, but you have no control over the areas that you're trying to control. Okay, so it's not an area control game. Because there's a lot of games that have that type of thing where, I mean, Foundations of Rome is a good one. Is a really good one of trying to vie for control to get victory points from public objectives. Yeah, I mean, granted, Foundations of Rome is way more expensive. This is a deluxe edition game that's not that... I mean, the cards are amazing. They have these etched backs that's really sexy. The metal coins, the blimps, like the insert is really good, fits everything nice and tight. The scoring markers are these blimps that I was like, well, that's annoying because they have discs instead. That would just be easier. But then I was like, oh man, yeah, I think these are score markers, and they actually stack. Like, so that was taken into consideration. I was like, man, good on you. But I almost feel like, because you're supposed to keep the the values hidden, I almost feel like you would get way more out of this game if it was actually public knowledge. I mean, it is public knowledge on these boards. At the bottom, it tells you what your values are Era 1 and Era 2. But I almost feel like it would be easier if you just saw what, like, everyone had their values, like, face up, so you could actually look and be like, do I try and get them to waste their thing? Because you also get victory points for controlling the 5 islands, the 4 sides, and the middle piece. And that's literally based off who has the tallest building there. But everyone has 3 value or 3-story tall buildings. And then it goes like, oh, you both have... all players have 1 tall building in that island. Okay, who has the most medium ones? Okay, you're tied there. Who has the most short ones? And also, it has like a Price is Right vibe, where whenever you bid, like if you put like a 24 down, someone could outbid you with 25. And I don't know why that's just worse. Like, that, like, it's so frustrating because it doesn't go sequentially like that. So let's say it goes 24, 25, like, someone could just do 30, and it's like, the fact that you outbid me on 20, like, by 1 point on a spot that I actually wanted is very, very annoying. But also, what makes it even more annoying is it's not for, like, the same spot. It's not like you can look at it and be like, okay, I know they really want yellow. I'm going to try and snag that yellow from them. Because by the time it comes back to them anyway, so if you outbid someone, whatever they wanted is gone. It, like, since you outbid them, they can no longer get that spot that they started their building in. And then by the time it comes around, it's trailed and snaked to a completely irrelevant spot that they're like, okay, I guess I'll pass and I'll wait for the next turn. Oh, that's right. You won the auction, so you get to start. I feel like this game could have been better if it just naturally went around the table. It's like, okay, you started the auction, player to my right. You won, or whoever won. Who gives a fuck who wins? No matter what, I at least get to start. So that I at least have some control over where it goes. And then everyone has... It's kind of like when you're playing Tiny Towns and people keep calling out resources that you don't want. You know at least that you're going to get to call out a resource that you want. Here it doesn't happen. If you don't win an auction, you are at the mercy of wherever the fuck the other players are taking you. And yeah, and it's just not fun. I did not have a good time anytime I've played this game. So, with that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give it a 4. I think this is a below average game. It would be a 3 because I literally have said nothing good about it except its production, and that's the only reason it's a 4. A 2 bumping to a 3 because of production just does. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, it's so mechanically and game wise, I think it's a 3. But taking everything into account with the way that the board looks, the insert, the minis are really good. It's a 4 out of 10. I really did not like this, and I think there could be something here for that. The adjacency thing is different. I don't like it in practice. It is different. It's like it's just too random. And what's annoying is they allude to the thing of player choice, where it seems like players have a decision to make, but you really don't, and that is also frustrating. So I don't know. Get rid of the tokens, the random tokens getting in, and leave it to the public objectives and your private objectives. Although the private objectives are the same except for different colors, so you'll know. Oh man, they keep trying to place on white. I guess because there's no reason for me to take white to try and go for white location. So really, just when you play this game, don't try. Just put out a random building, and then if you get it, you get it. And then whatever the final score is, you're like, that's what that is. That was that game. That was 30 minutes. I guess that's another thing. It's not long, although I would say most auction games shouldn't be long. I don't know. I am very curious on what everyone thinks of the game. I like genuinely, because these types of games that come out, there's very few games that I review that actually I have basically zero redeeming qualities on. There's usually one every year, and luckily, this is not like a high-profile game where hopefully I just don't get you. I hope you kill yourself, you worthless motherfucker. You don't like the same game I do. That matters to me. Hope I don't get those, like I've gotten for some in the past. But like I really want to know how people take the strategy on this game. But I've played this with many people you've seen on the channel that we play higher strategy games, because it feels like they wanted it to be light and goofy, but it's not in theme or really in mechanics. So I just don't know. I don't know why this was made. So yeah, 4 out of 10. But that's my thoughts on Skyrise. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.